Hello friends, I am Dr. Kuldeep Mohadikar. In this video, I will be speaking on Bacon as an essayist. I will also deal with another aspects of Bacon in coming videos. Now, I will focus on Bacon as an essayist. So, Bacon is the first English essayist and therefore truly regarded and known as the father of the English essay. His position is as such is unique in English literature. The range and variety of Bacon's essays is wide. He has written on multitude of subjects. Bacon was a quaint philosophical prose writer. He realizes the human ignorance and helplessness and advocates the struggle of research in the field of knowledge. He gave prominence to philosophy and medicine. He was a great writer of English essays. They are aphoristic in texture. More than half of his essays deal with public affairs. He describes the interests, problems, and thoughts of ruling classes of his age. In this conception of the essay, Bacon was inspired by Montaigne, whose essays had appealed 17 years before the earliest of Bacon. Bacon took more inspiration from Montaigne and proved himself a great writer of his own language. The essay was born when Montaigne retired to his tower to take stock of himself and thereby of all human experiences, and the evolution of his essays epitomizes the general evolution of the form from commonplace book to independent reflection. The two men naturally had some common roots. They were far apart in temperament and outlook, and Bacon, after borrowing or Montaigne title, seems to have gone his way. To the general recognition of the tentative character of the essay, Bacon adds his special belief in the suggestive virtues of the aphoristic style. Montaigne's chief concern is in men sitting upon his own tail. Bacon's is in man sitting in a office chair. Bacon's essays have done much to mold and direct the character of many individuals. Montaigne's essay appeal to broader social sympathies and cover a large area of human action as the sphere of their observation and criticism. If Montaigne was the greater literary artist, Bacon was the profounder moral and intellectual force. In his essay, Bacon presents himself as the moralist, the statesman, and the man of the word rewrites about them. Bacon was a moralist and politician. Accordingly, a large number of his essays deal either with the ethical qualities of a man or the matters connected with the government of countries. His purely scientific interests do not much appear in the essays. Science was the subject of his more serious works, in comparison with which the essays were merely recreations. He was aware of the depth of human nature. Bacon wanted to fill a gap in practical psychology and ethics in his essays. He points out the lack of serious studies of professional frauds and the vices. In the analysis of human egotism, he displays his fascination for honesty and virtue. His essays have molded and directed the character of many individuals. He was the profounder, again I repeat that he was the profounder of moral and intellectual force. Bacon's essays are grouped around three principles. What are they? We will see. Man in his relations to the world and society. The example of such essays are Sections and Troubles, Of Great Place, Of Empire, Of Friendship, Of Parents and Children, Of Discourse, Of Factions, etc. Second, man in relation to himself. The examples of such essays are Of Regiment of Health, of Studies, Of Ambition, Of Revenge, Of Advisory, Of Honor and Reputation, etc. Then third one, man in relation to his maker. The examples of these essays are of death, unity of religion, of superstition, prophecies, nature in man, of goodness, etc. Then we will focus on Bacon's style. Bacon was the father of modern prose. By the force of his style, he transmuted literature of knowledge into literature of powers. He was always busy with same observation, reflection, or argument. He displayed the rhetorical power in his prose writings. He was the chief exponent in prose of the entire Jacobean period. His style was distinct and varied. He was a great rhetorician. He had a great command of phrase and uncommon words. He wrote in more than two styles. His sentences are short, but each sentence conveys weighty thoughts. In his early essays, his style was unfinished, but in the later essays, there are contrasts of conceptions. Bacon introduced conjunctions and connectives. He displays a keen sense of analogy. Bacon makes frequent use of metaphors and similes in his later essays, which display poetical qualities. He shapes his thoughts in richer forms. He introduces a new literary form. He shows himself to be a consummate rhetorician. He uses highly Latinized vocabulary. He makes use of short, crisp, and firmly neat sentences. Bacon's style is marked by terseness of expression and grammatic brevity. He has the power of compressing into a few words a great body of thought. His brevity is known by his lucidity and clearness of expression. His figurative language is distinguished from aptness of his illustrations and exuberance of his fancy. Sometimes he uses long or short quotations. He makes use of Latin words, brief and rapid. He had a keen sense of analogy. In essays, the expression was terse and aphoristic. Some of his essays concern with popular definition or sharp phrases. There exists no logical order in them. Sometimes in the end of essay, he reaches a sonorous climax. He says, I quote, certainly it is heaven upon earth to have a man's mind move in charity, rest in providence, and turn upon the poles of truth. I unquote. Bacon was a true child of Renaissance. The spirit of adventure in the field of knowledge is found in his essays. He writes, reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. He took interest in man and the world round him. Aphorism is a notable feature of the essays of Bacon. His language is terse, pity-packed with thoughts. For example, in the essay of Parents and Children, he says, I quote, children sweeter labors, but they make misfortune more bitter. Again, his well-known aphorism, revenge is the wildest kind of justice, is remarkable for the truth and points of its content. Such example can easily show the charming and beautiful aphorism in Bacon's essays. As a master of this peculiar style, Bacon takes important place in the history of English literature. Many historical facts are responsible for the extraordinary genius of Bacon. He showed much enthusiasm in the pursuit of his ambition. He broke his relations with the Earl of Somerset and attached himself to Duke of Buckingham. Bacon's essays are familiar to all lovers of English literature. There is nothing else in literature quite like them. Hugh Walker says, I quote, Bacon is the first of English essayists. He had shown a mastery over English prose style. Bacon, the first great essayist in the history of English prose. He is both the father of English essay and the father of modern English prose. I unquote. That's all about Bacon as an essayist. Thanks, friends.